You are now listening to
Chakras and Shotguns. Welcome back to Chakras and Shotguns, episode 23. I'm your co-host, Jen.
And I'm Mick. Welcome back.
How you doing?
I'm good. Work is picking up. Clients coming in. Have some travel coming up.
Yeah.
Feeling good about that.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
Pretty good. Same. Some travel plans as a family, which is exciting. Trying to get back into the usual swing of things. So we love to travel, so that's always fun. We were watching a new show last night. Meg and I, we have a problem. We're always watching new shows. We're that meme with that guy who's with his girlfriend, but he turns around and looks at the woman passing by, and it's like shows that I'm currently watching in a new show.
Yep.
And like we swear every night we're not going to start a new show. And then we start something new when we have shows to watch. It's a problem. But so we started a new show. It's on Netflix. It's called Sex, Love, and Goop. It's by Gwyneth Paltrow under her Goop brand, which I always had mixed feelings about. So it's been kind of interesting revisiting her talk about wellness and the spiritual and the esoteric now that I'm in it. Like, honestly, I thought she was just like selling $1,000 vibrators to rich white women, but that's neither here nor there. But the show's actually really, really good. We're probably 3 episodes in, and it's about couples who are having intimacy issues, whether it's like the mechanics of sex, is it the feelings about the relationship that are preventing them from being intimate,
The kids getting in the way of, the parents being able to experience sex, right? That was definitely a theme with one couple.
Yeah. What did the husband say? He was like, we wake up and we're in service to the kids and we're getting them up and getting them dressed and getting them. I was like, oh, Lord, are you in my house? So like talking about very real issues that couples who have been together for a while are facing. There's like, and it's very diverse too. Like not only race, but like sexual orientation, age. Like there's an older couple we haven't really gotten to see yet.
Yeah.
They look like they're in their like 60s.
Yeah. Yeah.
So very, very cool. The reason why we wanted to bring it up on the show, however, is there are a lot of themes in the show that we talk about on this show that I thought it was really interesting to see how that played out. Like energetics, like feeling the energy of your partner. One couple who has like, they have relationship issues that's preventing them from being intimate, and how the body holds that. So they're like doing an exercise silently, and like the body is reacting. Like we talk about how the body doesn't forget and the body holds and the body remembers things. And like seeing how all of this, like I think we talk about it as like manifestation and abundance and crystals and maybe even like physical wellness, like physical healing, like, oh, I want to eat healthier or be cleaner. And I don't think we think about energetically how that can play out with your partner in a sexual way. So super, super, super fascinating show.
Yeah. There's even like this one part, and I don't want to spoil it because I want you guys to watch it, but like I was thinking about our like Reiki episode and how we talk about like using energy to heal. And there's a part in the show where there's a couple who's basically using energy to help each other orgasm. Like it's like sexual Reiki.
Fully clothed.
Yes, fully clothed. So that was like, wow. Like I didn't even know that like existed. So to see that definitely made me want to, do what I do and go get a book and read some more about it. But no, it's super cool. Definitely highly recommend it.
Yeah, really, really good. So we'll put a link in the show notes as always. So yeah, should we get into some breath work?
Yes, let's do that. So for today's breath work, I'd like to do a little bit of a visualization exercise. So what we'll do is we'll basically visualize a very serene scene, and I'll walk you through it as we do it. So just take a few minutes, get into a relaxing position, sit up straight, and close your eyes. And I want you to visualize yourself in a nice grassy meadow. Take in your surroundings. Notice the grass. Are there hills? Is it flat? Take in the trees. Maybe you see a water source, a river, a stream, a brook. Listen to the water. Just take in this peaceful scene. Breathe nice and deep. See if there are any animals that come up to you and that you see in the distance. Observe their movements and just continue to breathe. If your mind starts to wander, just come back to this meadow. Come back to the trees. What color are the leaves? What does the sky look like? Are there clouds? Let's just stay here for the next 20 seconds, enjoying this meadow. All right, now slowly open your eyes. If you have a notebook nearby, feel free to jot down what you saw in your meadow. Hopefully it was nice and peaceful and relaxing. And we'll move on with the show.
Thanks, Meg. Just a note, I love visualization exercises like that. I actually have like a collection of my favorite spaces that I like to go to when I meditate sometimes. And so I actually had a meadow kind of in my repertoire. It's like a screensaver of my third eye, I guess. Yeah. That I just went back to. And there's like a stream and like a mountain. I don't even know if those things naturally occur all together in nature, but that's what my mind meadow looks like. So thank you for that.
Dope.
So today we are welcoming another family friend to the show. Kira Buckley is a holistic health practitioner, an herbalist, writer, motivational speaker, healer, and entrepreneur. She owns the Hey Healer Wellness brand and creates quarterly retreats. So super excited to have her on the show, and away we go. Welcome, Kira, to the show.
Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
We're well. We're so excited.
I am as well. This has been a long time coming. I'm so excited.
So can you tell us a little bit about you and your background?
Yes, my background. So I have an integrative medicine background, acupuncture and herbs. Before that, English education and psychology. So bridging that together, I love education, I love facilitating, I love teaching. So we sort of blended all that together, and I facilitate healing by way of one-on-one sessions and corporate settings as well, and really just lead people down a path of high vibrational living and limitless living and holistic wellness and just getting to the root of their alchemy. That's woo woo and what's on paper together. But yeah, that's the clinical herbalism is really what's been driving the last few years, and also facilitating retreats, and just holding space as a creative and spiritual doula for people. So that's the cliff notes of what I do.
I like that, creative and spiritual doula.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you about, there's a lot of different labels out there. There's, healer, herbalist. I feel like you wear a lot of those hats. And so I just want to know, like, if someone were to talk to you in the elevator, like what's that one label that you would kind of put on yourself, or do you even put a label on yourself?
Oh, I never did well with the elevator pitch. Trust me, I've practiced. It's so much to try to fit in. So, I often, especially when I find myself sitting at the bar, is where I meet some of my clients. Healers hang out at the bar, right? So I remember telling a gentleman that asked, "What do you do for a living?" And I said, "I live. I live for a living. And by way of living, I point the way." So I'm often called a fire starter. And fire starters, we kind of rev up, we instigate, we provoke, we help to pivot and point the way, right? So if I could package all that together, I am an alchemist, I am a fire starter, I live in love for a living, and I show up as a mirror, as a reflector, because I cannot heal you, but I can help you facilitate healing for yourself.
I love that. For our listeners who don't know, how would you define alchemy?
Alchemy. Well, first, go read The Alchemist. That is a great point of reference, just to have some anchoring in what that means. But my lens of alchemy, you take the science, the alchemy of life, you take the universal laws, and then you match that with the esoteric, or what we call the woo-woo in the spiritual community. And you blend all of that together. So there is a power, and this power is a source energy. It is a sovereignty as well. And so alchemy comes out of that. It is your unique, tailored thumbprint of magic that you came into this earth realm with, and everyone has alchemy.
I love that. I think it really gets to some concepts we've talked about on the show. This idea of yin and yang, or masculine, feminine energy kind of mixed together. Even our show title is a mix of feminine, masculine, yin yang energy, right? Chakras and shotguns. So I love that you kind of explained it in that way.
Yeah. The balance of it all, right? So again, another law of the universe is we have to, that's the reflection in the mirror, but the yin and the yang, or in clinic, we say yin yang. My clinic professor would really get on you if you say yang. But yin and yang. But yes, it is, it's the natural cycle of humanity, is that we have as above, so below, as within, so without. So the balance is what keeps us anchored.
So in our trailer, I said that I'm an herbalist. And part of that was me owning where I'm going.
Yes.
Kira is my herbalism instructor, master teacher. Another reason why I'm so excited to have her on the show.
Yes.
Kira, how did you find your way into herbalism?
I stumbled, got lost, fell. I was tripped. I was pushed into this arena. No, this was really a very personal. I'm the transparent healer, so there's not many secrets. A lot of my clients know I'm very vulnerable in my spiritual journey. I stumbled upon this because I was looking for answers for myself. I have a history of PCOS, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome, also traumatic PTSD, anxiety as well. So package all of this together. Mama needed some answers, and this was even before I came into motherhood. But on a quest to heal myself, I came into connection with a number of healers that led me down this path. And so acupuncture started that journey for me, just going through treatments for myself. This was before I even decided to study it. And then after realizing that I became very fertile with acupuncture, then I said, let me take a break. Let me hold off a little bit and just dive into the medicine itself, the culture, the lifestyle, the science, the alchemy, because all that is embedded in this East Asian and East African medicine. And so I found in clinic as an intern and traveling through a number of cities that I really, really liked the herbal side of this. I didn't so much like being poked or poking. Just, I'm very sensitive to energy as well. And so I did what I needed to do to get in and out of clinic. And then they would come looking for me and they would be asking, well, where is Kira? And they call me Sweet Earth in clinic. That's another side story. If you follow Japanese acupuncture, it follows the elements and the scents. And so I was named Sweet Earth. And they would say, oh, she's in the herb room. And so I became the Sweet Earth lady in the herb room. And I didn't want to leave. And so this medicine, or what I call nature's candy, being that I have a sweet tooth all the time as well, it just became my niche, and I immersed myself in it. I'm a researcher by heart, and I'm a hands-on learner. So although I don't believe in the term master herbalism, because we are masters of nothing, there are a plethora of herbs that we will never be able to cover in this lifetime. But on this journey of herbalism, this is how I fell in love with herbs and decided that this was my ministry to be able to extend this to others.
I'm fascinated by this whole like clinic experience. Could you tell us a little bit more about like where you were and how you got involved in that?
Oh, wow. Where was I? So my study began at Pacific College of Oriental Medicine, now Pacific College of Healthcare Sciences. This is in San Diego. I also studied at American College of Healthcare Sciences, AOMA, Integrative Medicine in Austin, Texas as well. I interned in 3 states, so California, Mississippi, and Texas. I was under women's health, fertility, mental imbalances, and oncology for about 4 to 5 years. So in and out of the room as a clinical assistant, as a supervisor, as the herb lady, the sweet herb lady. I made my rounds, and sometimes 12 hours a day, and in and out of clinic, and doing house calls as well. So while it was fun, while it lasted, and you see as I'm brushing through that journey that I don't have any regrets. It's necessary. The groundwork is always necessary. But, it is interesting. What I love about integrative medicine, and what a lot of people don't know, the complementary side of this is that clinic spaces that have a Western MD or a naturopathic doctor, an acupuncturist, a chiropractor, a breathwork facilitator, like we would all be housed under the same brick and mortar. And so you have clients and patients that come in and they're able to pretty much make their rounds. And so as a clinical herbalist, that allows me to sit at the table with Western medicine practitioners and be included in the patient's wellness plan. And so we're all sitting around the table deciding the best route for you. And that part I really enjoyed about this medicine is that we're not left out. We complement each other's medicine. And that's what makes it integrative because we work together.
That's actually a great lead-in to my next question. There's like a lot of growing interest I'm seeing on social media with folks wanting to get closer to some of these natural remedies and not just rely solely on Western medicine, right? They want to have that more integrative approach. And I'm just curious what you think could be driving that and how you feel about kind of this shift in consciousness.
Just step outside and take a look at the world we live in. I would say this current climate or culture, the pulse of humanity right now is driving a lot of people in the direction of accountability. And being that we are in the middle of a pandemic, or my mentor says plandemic, he's very intentional about the way he uses these words. But in all the uncertainty, what we know and what we don't know, there's a beautiful lens that human beings have. First, our autonomy, for one. And we don't like to be backed into a corner, and we don't like not having enough information. And so what I believe the pandemic has done for a lot of us, of course, pushed us into this collective grief, but also this collective healing. So information is no longer restricted. The veil has been lifted. We're closer to the spiritual ascension collectively. And so that puts people on a journey to want to find answers on their own, want to make their lifestyles better for themselves and for their family, just not taking verbatim what, practitioners in the white coat says, like they don't have the last word. And because of the collective grief, desperation and exhaustion drives people to find answers. And I believe that's the direction and journey that we have moved into. Yes, collective grief, but more collective healing. And the collective healing is what drives humanity together to find answers. And I think that's why we have a growing interest in that. People are desperate. People want healing. People want more than just the generic answers they have been giving. And they want more out of life. And solitude and having to sit at home and quarantine and being told no and being pushed into a state of fear and anxiety will push you to seek out answers on your own.
That actually is interesting that we're on this topic today. We recently made a decision to shift our girls from the pediatrician where we were. What I realized was I was depending on their doctor to take off that mental labor of their medical care. Because, I didn't necessarily want to be following all of these things. I'll come to the appointments, but that's what I'm offloading to you. And I think I was getting some answers that I wasn't really liking without going into too many details. And I was like, okay, well, we have to take this back into our own hands and be a lot more involved to craft what we want their pediatric care to look like,
right,
with their assistance.
Right. And this goes back to the journey of the healer. In whatever capacity you show up, our job is not to heal you. We cannot heal you. And that's for the people in the white coat, the people in scrubs, anyone in the medical setting. And I think what this has brought closer to home for us, for humanity, the human beings, is understanding that doctors are humans as well. And practicing medicine, the understanding of that has become more evident now, what that means to practice medicine. So it's a hit and miss. There's trial and error, right? So in the errors that have showed up, it's placed more accountability on families, on parents, especially I would say people who have a responsibility as caretakers for other people. And so it puts an extra, I won't say pressure or weight, but change the lens. It is a privilege and a responsibility to be able to choose a path of healing for myself and my family. And I have to see it in that light so that I can get the answers that I need. It's not a burden, kind of like how parents take on this disposition with teachers that you need to be teaching my child. Well, teaching starts in the home, right? Mm-hmm. So then I don't feel like it's an obligation and it's pressure and it's a burden. And the same thing with your health journey. And it should be fun. It should be adventurous. This childhood wonder should come. And what can I play with in my kitchen today? What's going to help my family reach optimal living, not just the quantity, but the quality of life. And so we could do that together as a family. And I believe our current climate has pushed us in that direction.
So we're getting into fall, going into winter. Mm-hmm. We want to start thinking about what we can integrate into our day-to-day routine to make sure that we are getting closer to, as you said, optimal living.
Yes.
Understanding that not every herb is for everybody. Some people have medical conditions, allergies, they might be pregnant or nursing. What are some herbs or supplements that we can start adding in for cold and flu season to strengthen our immune system?
I'm going to play devil's advocate here. I'm very cautious, and this goes back to just respecting the law of the land and nature's cycles. So I don't believe in cold and flu season. I believe in winter, spring, summer, and fall. Those are seasons. But cold and flu, they don't have a season. Year round, can we manifest cold and flu symptoms? Yes. But to declare a season for that, for one, places us in the mindset alone. And we're literally training our nervous system to shut down at a specific time of the year. Okay. So we can go further into that within a session.
I need to do a couple of snaps.
That's the first thing. But I will say just a general understanding, if you follow the seasons, right, and you respect the law and the natural cycles, our lifestyle should follow the seasons that we are in. So as we're coming out of summer, we're coming into fall. Just look at nature. Look what the trees do. They know what to do. They understand that they're going to lose leaves. They don't panic. They don't go into declaring certain and naming seasons. They just understand that the weather's cooling down. I'm going to lose my leaves. I might even lose some branches. But because they're anchored and they're rooted in the ground, there's an allowance that happens and a surrender. And so preparing the body to surrender to the colder temperatures. So you're going to change the way that you eat. You're going to look for foods that are warming. You're going to look for herbs that astringe and purge and that keep your respiratory open, your breathing open. You want your antivirals, of course, so your fire ciders and your syrups, your elderberry and all of that. And these are things that just across the board are safe, regardless if you are taking prescription meds or if you're nursing or expecting as well. Things like just raspberry leaf and hibiscus flower. Your flowers are really good and safe, chamomile and lavender and things like that. So that just helps to sedate and calm the nervous system as we prepare it to go into colder temperatures and draw in. And that's what the fall does. It helps us to prepare for winter, to hibernate. And so we're drawing in, and in the harvest, we are eating foods that, again, are pungent. And so this is another, I would say, cheat sheet is look at the colors, right, that change in the fall. For those of us, this is our favorite season. So your burnt oranges and, these deep red colors, your food should match the season. Just match your foods with the color of the season. And that will open up the body. Other things like your vitamin C, which you can get through food therapy as well. You want your minerals. That's sea moss and bladderwrack and burdock root, zinc and two things that I really, really wanted to make sure that I drop these nuggets here in this space because it's not often talked about. Respiratory and sinus things that often follow people when we come into this season. So herbs like mullein and yarrow are really, really good, especially in Dallas, our COVID pack. We included those, and they're not necessarily the most popular herbs, but they are very potent for opening up the respiratory and your sinus. This whole T-zone area here, and making sure that your lymph nodes drain properly. So that's mullein and yarrow. And these are flowers, and they're very gentle, and you can take them as a tincture, you can drink them as a tea, you can take them as capsules. But I would say that regimen specific is good for everybody.
Mm. Yeah, I just got over this little upper respiratory infection that one of our kids brought home and gave to everyone. Mm-hmm. And I was on the tail end of it and was talking to Kira. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I'm taking my sea moss and I've been taking my elderberry. And she's like, how are you taking it? And I was like, capsules. She's like, are you eating oranges? And I was like, no. I hadn't had any orange juice until it was too late, until I was already kind of feeling gross. And then I'm going to orange juice, and I think sometimes it's just that knee-jerk reaction of let me take something, even if I'm taking something to prevent something. Like, well, I'm taking vitamins, so I'm super healthy, right? But we're not making sure we're eating citrus and or following the seasons and eating those colors. And food therapy is like my probably going to be my next focus of just how little we take things for granted.
Oh yeah. Can I just say how much food therapy is overlooked as one of the most potent medicines that cost nothing, at least cost a hell of a lot less than supplements and pills and prescription meds. But the biggest thing that I wanted to give to Jen when she told me she was at the tail end of it and just popping pills, even the good pills that we are popping, right? There has to be just a cohesive plan all around. So if I'm just doing the bare minimum, I'm going to get the bare minimum, right? How you do one thing is how you do everything. So if I want to really get to the root of where this dis-ease in the body began, even something as simple as a little sniffle, a little snot, mucus and phlegm, and I just want to clear my throat, then I'm going to exhaust every option that I have. So I'm looking at making changes that are not just convenient, but the challenge is to match that too. And what am I drinking? And what am I eating? What my habits have to change throughout the day. Am I covering my head? Do you wrap your neck up? Even if the sun is out. If that wind is being disrespectful and coming around your ears and your neck, it don't matter how much vitamin C you are drinking or how many supplements you are taking. So you want to make sure that your plan is cohesive and you exhaust every option to get it in your system, however way that you can. But something that's really big, especially in clinic and TCM, that's traditional Chinese medicine and holistic African medicine, is in the seasons of fall and winter. You want to make sure that your neck is covered. There's something called wind attack, and this is how viruses and dis-ease enter the body through the nape of your neck. And so if you ever see a practitioner that studies any of that medicine, they're going to have a scarf around. I keep my head covered naturally because of the spiritual journey. However, as a healer, your head and your neck should always be covered. As a parent, your head and your neck should always be covered. Feeling anything, any imbalance in the body is an indicator that something has invaded your orifices, and you want to make sure that you cover yourself. My granny girl would say, cover your gates, your ears, your eyes, your nose, anywhere where there's a hole. And I digress.
When you were talking about covering the nape of your neck, the rap fan in me was thinking about the Wu-Tang song "Protect Your Neck." So
yes,
that definitely resonated. And then it was also, it dawned on me, you're talking about protecting your head and your neck. That's the throat chakra and the crown chakra. So it sounds like those are two susceptible chakras in the fall and winter. Is that how you see it?
That is very much how I see it. I'm so glad you went there. I'm going to try not to go too deep in these waters, but let me just say, if you understand, even if you don't know anything about chakras or the energy centers, right? But there's no excuse. So here's your first lesson.
We did episodes on all of them, so the listeners should go back and listen if they don't.
Excuse. Look at the podcast you're on. However, this is something I teach my clients. Everything from the neck up, we consider that heaven. Everything from the neck down, that is earth. That space in the middle, that what allows you to swivel your head from left to right. Your neck is your God center. And the God center runs everything. The brain stems connect through there. The messages that are sent from your anatomic nervous system, your vagus nerve, down into your gut has to travel through the neck. The impulses that tells me I'm tired, I'm hungry, I'm thirsty, I'm afraid, I'm safe, I have joy. All of that passes through the neck. And so, yes, Wu-Tang, protect your neck. That's like heavy collateral in even understanding this meat vehicle that we are walking around in this very dense atmosphere. And so in 3D, yes, we are responsible. We're held responsible for the way that we honor and govern our bodies. And I would say the throat and the head are the most important.
I love that. Or Mick was saying that earlier too, but I love that like these old things that our grandmothers told us that we were like, what do you know? We wrote them off or whatever, or that's a superstition. And then it just comes back full circle. Cause my grandmother was always on me, and my mother now that she's a grandmother, cover your head, cover your feet. She was always talking about your feet.
It was my chest.
Too cold.
Yes.
The floor is too cold. Cover your feet. You're going to get a cold. And I was like, how in the world? Nobody's here. How am I going to get a cold? Because the tile in the bathroom is cold.
Right.
And
changing your body temperature. And you don't even understand like how much depth is in that wisdom in medicine. And then it becomes catching. Now it's contagious. Now you outside and you see babies with no jackets and socks on, or at least that's me. And I'm literally trying to avoid, because if I come any close to that baby and I'm mumbling under my breath, why that baby ain't got no socks on? We hear it all the time.
Besides, keeping our eyes out for symptoms that might cause us disease. Women's wellness is also a passion of mine.
Yeah.
So how can women best support their reproductive system, even if they don't want kids, but just, menstruating people, or if they do want kids, what are those benefits on their overall health when they support those areas of the body?
Ooh, it's one of my favorite topics to talk about, because also I spent so many years in infertility clinics. And one thing that I picked up on very quickly, while they were coming to be treated for infertility, we could not bypass the plethora of herbs and supplements that we were giving them for mental wellness, and how that played a part in the imbalance, the chemical imbalance, the high highs and the low lows. Not even diagnosing yourself with anxiety or depression, but just understanding that we all go from one end of the spectrum to the other periodically, but especially women that we house so much as nurturers, and feeling so obligated and responsible for providing nourishment for others, let alone ourselves. And so there's a lot of adrenal fatigue. There's things like a blood deficiency that comes up as well. The mental imbalance is just the overextending the cells and caretaking. And this is whether you have children or not. Women just show up in a lot of spaces wearing a lot of hats. So This is another cheat sheet. I encourage women to look at the areas that come up the most, because everyone's different. But your God center, your throat, what governs that? The thyroid controls the hormones. Your brain and the pineal gland between the eyebrows, right? But also your brain that is in your gut, and then your reproductive system. So those 4 areas. So under the sacral, the reproductive system, the yoni, and then the heart. If you just cover the heart and what happens in that area, go up into the throat, and then the mind, the brain. And so your medicine, your lifestyle, your regimen should hit those 4 areas. To make sure that I'm doing something, I'm taking something, and I am meditating, and I have a mantra for those 4 areas as a woman every single day. We don't get a day off at all. And so specifically for women, and this is whether you are interested in becoming fertile, carrying life, our wombs really govern everything that we do. Our wombs and our guts. And so for women, making sure that we have an eating regimen that allows our uterus and the lining to shed properly the way that it needs to, making sure that our throat and our thyroid, our hormones are regulated so that our moods are also understood and regulated as well, so that we are approachable, and so that, we're not just nice, nasty either. Whatever our disposition is. And things like black cohosh, vitex, chasteberry, valerian root, lemon balm, which is one of my favorite herbs that I put in every single blend. This is just cognitive health, just stress relieving, just nervous system regulation. And that's honestly where the bulk of the work that I do for women is just regulating the nervous system. And if your nervous system is okay, your body, everything else, the cells in your body, your organs, your muscles will follow suit.
I don't want to leave the fellas out. Any of those herbs that you mentioned work for us too, or?
Yes. One of my favorite herbs, I have so many faves, so you're going to hear me say favorite a lot. Ashwagandha. Ashwagandha is a hormone regulator for men and women. So what it does for your testosterone, Mick, it does wonders also for our estrogen. And the thing about this herb, when I take it and when you take it, it knows what to do for each of our system. But yes, men need their hormones regulated as well. We don't call it PMS, but they have some symptoms of their own too. And really just helping along with ashwagandha, ginseng, bee pollen, propolis. These are really good for male hormones and really just strengthening the nervous system for men specifically, and just making sure blood flow is there. You guys are more physical. There's also the divine masculine that is a doer, that's in his head most of the day. So making sure the cognitive health, the headaches, the optics are open too. And so a lot of these herbs, these regimens, again, whether he's a father or not, he can benefit from just for prevention and making sure that his heart health and blood flow is there.
Thanks for those. Definitely will check some out. I've actually been on ashwagandha for a little while, and I definitely feel the benefits there. Wanted to talk a little bit about probiotics. They seem to be kind of a hot button thing in the wellness space. Just wanted to get a sense from you. You talked a little bit already about gut health and your gut brain. How important are probiotics? And are there any recommendations you have around them?
Yes. Can't talk about probiotics without talking about pre as well. So the pre and the pro, both are needed. But there's a term, I'm going to give everyone homework. So everyone that's listening, I want you to go look up microbiome. So this term, this is a concept or pretty much what regulates the good and the bad bacteria in the gut. And the misconception is I'm taking this probiotic because I need to poop. Well, you need probiotics not just for pooping, which pooping is very essential. So please poop. and please poop regularly. However, the quality of the poop, the consistency of it as well, and really going back to your food regimen, but what you're feeding yourself is often driven by how you feel. And so probiotics help to balance not just the gut flora, but also the emotions. And a lot of people miss that correlation. There's so much alchemy in the gut. Skin dis-ease starts in the gut. Anxiety starts in the gut. Panic and really a lot of people, there is some research that will trace any dis-ease in the body back to the gut as well, especially, the skin manifestations and eczema and things like that. But all of that starts in the gut. And so we need the balance of the good and the bad bacteria, not to get rid of, fully get rid of both, but you need a balance of both because they're both are essential in helping the gut balance and helping you cleanse as well. And so the thing about it is, if the mental process is out of whack, 9 times out of 10 is because the gut is not balanced.
Yeah, that takes me back to some of that old grandma wisdom that we were talking about earlier. My brother and sister will laugh when they hear this, but our dad used to basically say an apple a day, keeps the doctor away, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he would drone it into our ears and always make sure we had apples and have you had your apple today? And would just go on and on about how important it was to have that apple to help with your gut health. So
yes,
that's what I was thinking of when you were talking about that.
Daddy was on to something for sure. The fiber in the apple is what helps to keep you regular too. If you have a granny girl, anything like my granny girl, or your grandmothers, our elders, they know what they're talking about. And even when they're talking crazy, they know what they're talking about. But yes, food therapy, lots of fruits, things that have skin, fruits that have skin, vegetables that have skin, especially if they're organic. Try not to cut the skin off because you need that. That is what helps to push through the bad bacteria so that your gut can stay in balance and out of imbalance as well. Something I wanted to suggest really quickly, when you are sourcing pre and probiotics, liquid is best. Liquid is always, and this is with any herb, it's always going to give you the fastest blood absorption. And if you also can really go the extra mile and make sure that it's plant-based. So one of my favorite brands, I'm not getting paid for this, but Probiotics is a plant-based iron supplement and also a pre and probiotic. And so it's something just as small as having an ounce or 2 a day of this liquid really just helps to keep your bacteria in the gut balanced, keep the flora together, keep your gut clear. And if your gut in your abdomen is clear, your brain is also clear as well. There is a correlation because there's 2 brains there. And in a lot of cultures, the Western is just coming into this, but in my discipline, your gut is your first brain. And so the brain here in our heads really just reflects pictures. But the medicine that we take, the food that we eat, the conversations that we have, the emotions that we feel, all of that is regulated by the brain in the gut.
So I know you said Probiotics is not paying you, but we need to get you a sponsorship or something because Kira got me on Probiotics about, 6 months ago or so, and I have been regularly taking it. She's a good Probiotics saleswoman. So
I love Probiotics. I receive and I manifest right now. Probiotics.
There you go.
One other thing I wanted to mention, it goes back to what Jim was talking about with our pediatrician journey. Our first pediatrician with our oldest put her on a lot of antibiotics, and it's mainly for her ear infections. That a lot of folks don't realize is some of the side effects with antibiotics can be harming that microbiome in your gut.
Exactly.
And so it was one of the catalysts for us to really get her to a practice that was, more holistic, prescribe things like garlic drops and colloidal silver to combat some of those ear infections. And so just wanted to, talk a little bit about that and finding that balance between utilizing antibiotics when they're necessary, but, being more vigilant about using them all the time.
One thing before you answer, Kira, the prime example of that is one time she was on antibiotics and she ended up with thrush as a baby, which is, it's an overproduction of yeast, right?
Right.
And then I was nursing, and so then I got it. It was like this whole thing. It was in her mouth. So like that was like a prime example of antibiotics wrecking the gut.
When in actuality, it didn't have to be the first go-to. And here's the thing, when I tell people, there is a lot of value, gratitude for antibiotics, especially for more chronic and more urgent cases where we need that. Okay. However, please do not forsake preventive medicine. And the thing about it, antibiotics are for cases where you have exhausted every other option. It's your last resort, or it's a sense of urgency, or you're in a chronic state. And so at that point, yes, I would point you in the direction of going to see your primary care and making sure that you can get an antibiotic, but I'm still going to ask you to balance that out with supplements and food therapy so that you can catch the side effects. And this is the downside. So integrative medicine, because we're going to work together and we're going to find the best out of both that's going to bring us to optimal health, but don't be naive. So the chemicals that make up this wonderful antibiotic still leaves you with side effects. And so while the surface symptoms are null and void now, because that's the quick fix. And, when, especially for parents, and I understand, mama, I'm a mama as well. You just don't want the baby to be in pain. You want to get rid of it, and you want to get rid of it fast. And so there are things that we can still resort to leading up to that before we take them to see the pediatrician. And so I ask moms, don't skip those steps before you get to the pediatrician. Did you go to your kitchen? Did you go to your bathroom? Because babies are also easily susceptible, and their systems are built. And honestly, they are a lot more giving to natural supplements more than adults because their systems are so pure and so open. And so a lot of times these supplements will work faster for them if you try them and if we have a little bit of patience. So things like garlic and ginger and tea tree oil or melaleuca, giving them a little bit more cinnamon, just giving them warm water with honey and lemon and a shot of apple cider vinegar does wonders. Especially for children, and this is in my family, so the Creole and Southern tradition of putting oils and herbs in the baby's belly button. There's a reason why they were connected to you there, mama. So there's still transmission, and what gets into their bloodstream, especially when we want something to get into their bloodstream faster. So you put it behind the ears, in the ears, or you can drop essential oils, coconut oil and things like that into the belly button, and it will absorb that way as well. So for the mamas that, whatever your situation is, socioeconomic, whatever your demographic is, and you just say, I don't have these options, I'm going to the pediatrician, I need this antibiotic. No judgment. I'm just going to ask you to use the food to help counteract the side effects. And so you can always make sure you give them yogurt, give them a bath when they're taking the antibiotics so that they can soak and the pores can open up and they can sweat out, what's not needed, what's not serving them as well, so that they have a healthy balance while they are taking those harsh medications.
We love garlic drops around here. And so as soon as a baby starts tugging on an ear, they're going to get a garlic drop. And it has mullein in it. Shout out to mullein.
Nice mullein.
So they're mullein garlic ear drops. You can usually find them at Whole Foods, Sprouts, like natural stores, natural grocers. They're great. When my ear starts to feel a little weird, that lymph node starts to get right there, where if you were eating sour candy starts kind of twinging a little bit.
Yes.
I go ahead and drop a couple in my ears as well. So we're big fans of those.
Oregano oil and celery juice. I know, Jen, I talked to you about the wonders and magic of celery. And when it is juiced, it's just a strong antiviral, anti-inflammatory. It's antioxidant as well, but it's just as strong as sea moss and what the minerals that it provides. But the way that it's able to drain and pull out mucus and phlegm and any of those little icky things that are lingering in the body that they may build up to a worse sinus infection or respiratory infection. Just taking a couple of days or even just half a day and flushing yourself and your children with celery juice. Everybody in the house can take this. Celery juice does wonders and it goes a long way. Oregano is one of my favorite as well. Oregano oil. Just make sure you don't have anywhere to go if you don't want other people looking at you because you smell like a pizza. But other than that, it's amazing and it's powerful.
I love it. And I think I'm kind of the school of thought that if nothing else, even if you're like, I don't know, I'm like, going to the doctor is such a pain. It's such a pain in the ass to go to like get an appointment and get up there, and especially like with kids, and it's like all these other little sick kids are running around.
It's triggering for a lot of people, and especially now, you have to take that into account. Mm-hmm. These things for parents that are taxing and triggering was taxing and triggering before the pandemic. Now add on this climate that we're in with masks and vaccinations and all of that. And so now we're just hypersensitive even more. And for that alone, mama, drink your tea before you go. Make sure, that you build your regimen up. And so that as caretaker, you are holding yourself to the same high standard that you are expecting from this doctor to heal the baby. You also have to hold yourself accountable and do what is necessary so that you can be in optimal health.
Let's say, just to go back into people who are pregnant or nursing, or they might be on other medications, and they're interested in integrating herbal supplements and remedies into their lives. But they're nervous. They're scared about contraindications, or like basically, am I going to take something, it's going to react some kind of way or hurt my baby, or I'm nursing and I don't want it to affect my milk supply. What would you suggest if they want to start integrating those things into their lives?
Call me. That's the quick fix. However, I'm great at outsourcing too. I am blessed to have a community of healers and research. Mamas, papas, research goes a long way. I'm really big on just accountability, and I'm sorry, and this is why I'm not for everybody, because I put the accountability back on my clients, because I promise you, we will go all over Amazon and everywhere else to get what we want to buy. So taking the extra steps just to do that research, but connecting with practitioners who understand medicine, Western medicine and holistic medicine. Everybody's an herbalist these days, right? So there's an up and a downside to that. And I love that more of us, there's more representation in this field as well. However, don't be so quick, to jump in a person's inbox because they tell you that they're an herbalist. I'm really big on blends and energetics. And that science is necessary because we need to know how these chemicals react together. So let's say you have a client that, has renal failure or is a cancer patient or has high blood pressure, cholesterol. And so I already know based on first impression, when they come in to see me or when I see them virtually, and I'm looking aesthetically on the surface at what's going on with them, but then they give me a list of prescription meds that they're taking for these diseases or the degenerative things, the chronic illnesses that they've been diagnosed with. And so all is not lost. Sometimes it's just a matter of creating a regimen or a protocol where you can take the supplements at the beginning of the day, take your meds 4 to 6 hours after that or before that. So you want to make sure that you put time in between that. For mothers who are nursing or expecting and really nervous, again, just a little bit of research. There are a lot of herbs that you can still take. Things like raspberry leaf and lemon balm, elderberry, chamomile, nettle. And these are just general herbs that are just good for respiratory, sinus, calming the nervous system. Again, fenugreek, blessed thistle, brewer's yeast. Moms like that because sometimes they get to drink beer. But, again, this is just a general list that, and when we say general, meaning they're generally safe for the most of people that can take it. So if you have allergies and you are taking prescription meds that you've been on for a long time, I will say we would like to have a more in-depth conversation just so we can look at dosage and we can look at the milligrams and the brand of whatever it is that you're taking. But just do not lose hope. Do not assume that you cannot have this medicine or these herbs because you are taking Western medicine. So don't believe the hype. That is a myth. It's complementary alternative medicine for a reason. You just have to connect with someone who understands the science and how the chemicals work together so that you don't have adverse reactions.
So I know you, as you mentioned, having a conversation with you, I know you offer these one-on-one sessions. So I just wanted to take our listeners through kind of what one of these sessions looks like and how you kind of develop a holistic health plan.
It's a secret. But for chakras and shotguns, because I love making gin so much, I will say my approach mixes holistic African and East Asian tradition. And being that I am a healer, a lot of these spiritual practices are deeply rooted in my family pathology. Shamanic practices are integrated in that as well. And so, you're not going to experience anything like this. What this looks like, it looks different for everybody. It is a tailored approach. There's a heart check that we begin with, but understanding that cultural medicine, that's very sacred. There's always going to be the lens that we go through the elements to understand the body. And so this is the approach that I take. And in this heart check, regardless of if we're just doing a 30-minute check-in, if we're just doing a women's regimen, or if we're doing a 2-hour-long body, mind, spirit session, everyone gets a heart check. There are matters of the heart that always sit at the surface. And then that helps me as you're unloading, as I'm listening and I'm looking at your mannerism and the way that you speak and, how you speak. And do you use your hands? Do you use your body? Do you speak with an open body? Do you speak with a closed body? Are you contracting yourself? I can see your breath, even virtually, if you're holding it in between speaking as well. And so when you see a practitioner, our lens is holistic. You're always going to get more of a quality of service and a regimen when you have a practitioner that can see through a holistic lens. So questions like, are you happy? Are you honest? What's your lifestyle? What is your, in 7 days, what does your regimen looks like? What are your cravings as well? And these are shocking to people because they're looking for a regimen and an herb, and I'm asking them, are they nice to themselves? Because that matters. Again, that's the holistic approach. And so taking you down this path and understanding how to study your body, how to speak to your body, how to use your voice, how to tap into your energy centers as well, matching that with using the elements. What season are we in? And being that we're in fall, your body could still be in summer or spring, right? Because those are the symptoms that are manifesting. And so none of this is a secret. I show you medicine for you to use on your own. I'm sorry, I am not built to pass out worksheets and to just keep you with me year round. I want you to cycle out and be able to use the medicine on your own and create your own regimens. And again, because you are accountable for your own healing journey. And I'm just here to facilitate and to say, hey, look, pivot, look that way, or to put some fire under your ass.
I love that. I remember our first session.
Do you?
Yes. I had just had our youngest baby.
Mm-hmm.
And we met you through Cookie, our doula.
Hey, Cookie.
And I think I thought that it was going to be more spiritual based. And I had already fallen for the trap of, okay, I've had the baby and I've already started to neglect myself.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, I'm eating okay. I'm eating for weight loss. Let's just be honest. Like, I'm eating to lose the baby weight. I'm not necessarily eating for like my overall health. I'm not really taking that much. I'm taking prenatals, but it's really for the baby.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that it's going to be a spiritual session, since we've been on this journey. And you were like, okay, but like, what are you eating? And how much are you sleeping? And what are you doing? And like, you really put it on me to make sure that I was really taking my physical health seriously to support my spiritual health. And like at the time, Chakras and Shotguns was not even a thought in Mick and I's mind yet, but it really fed how we always loop back to mind, body, spirit. Like, that's the whole picture. This is what we're working on. It's not one or the other. They all are supportive of the whole. So,
yeah,
that's like a little taste of what a session with Kira is like, but
that's so we're just scratching the surface with the cliff notes. Often the route that we take and where we end up, two totally different places too. So for some, we start with the spirit. We start with, childhood regression. We start, with a Reiki attunement. And for others, we start in a very tangible, physical 3D place with just, what did you eat today? And what did you say to yourself this morning? And understanding the value in both places, because the goal is the same, right? But there's value in both places. And so everyone's point of origin is going to be different depending on what is presenting. And I'll always know whatever your representative is giving me is not the real. I want to get to the source as well.
So, Kira, as we wrap up, just wanted to give you, just an opportunity to kind of talk to the collective. Our society is really in need of collective healing. So do you have any kind of closing words to help us all kind of think about how we can contribute to that collective healing?
I quote my granny girl a lot. She is dear to my heart, and a lot of my clients have come to know her and have never seen her face, but she comes up often. I attribute this journey, the medicine. I'm 7 generations preacher's kid. I'm also ordained myself. Early 2021 years old, I was ordained. And so I remember being in spaces with my grandmother where she was an evangelist and teaching and preaching, and we in church all day, every day, all week. However, she made me keep a journal. She made me study numbers and numerology. She had me keep a dream journal. And she was very, very sensitive intuitively to energy and teaching me that as well. But also helping me to understand the value in both worlds, right? The physical world, the parallel world, and the value in everything, in nature, in herbs, and Gaia, right? And so something she says all the time, keep the main thing the main thing. And whatever the main thing is for you, for me, it's me, it's source energy. At my core, like nothing happens. Nothing I'm doing in my life, my gifts, in the way that I mother, in the way that I love, in the way that I heal, none of that matters if I do not consider myself to be a priority, to be of value, to be the main thing, right? And so that understanding it, if I keep myself at the center first, me first, I belong to me first. And so my medicine is for me first. I live and breathe for me first. I eat for me first. I source quality foods for me first. I understand solitude and stillness and quietness for me first, right? And so as we, again, are still in a space of collective grief, in this place of uncertainty, I don't want us to lose sight of the collective healing that is also happening. And we are expanding like nobody's business, or as I tell my daughters, blossoming with no chill. We're doing it because Gaia will take care of herself. As much as we are unkind to Earth, Earth still provides for us because it will provide for itself, right? That's the law of nature. And there's some, well, not some, but there's a lot of medicine that we can glean from that. And so my prayer for humanity, my meditation for humanity is that we strive to keep ourselves, our core desires, our core needs first. Keep the main thing. Because if you take care of yourself, the thing about it is I can't give externally anything that I have not given myself. And the more compassion and grace and care that I give myself, it makes it easier for me to give to others. And you see that collective healing, that law of reciprocity that's happening because I got it. I know what it feels like. I understand the value of it. I want so badly to give that to others. I want to reflect that to others. And that's how we collectively heal. So in keeping ourselves as the main thing and understanding source energy and taking care of Gaia, taking care of Earth, I believe that we take care of each other. And just be honest. Mind your business, which is your purpose. Yes, stay lifted and be well.
All right. Well, Kira, thank you so much for this time.
Thank you.
How can people find you?
I am under Hey Healer on the World Wide Web, my web presence, not just the website, but my web presence. If you just type in Hey, like Hey Girl, HEYYHEALER, all one word, Hey Healer on all social media platforms. info@heyhealer.com is my email address. We're on YouTube as well, Twitter, wherever it is, because I know you got it in your hand right now, your phone. Open up those apps, type in Hey Healer. I promise if you reach for me, I will definitely reach back.
And that's Hey with 2 Y's, folks.
Hey with 2 Y's.
All right. Thank you so much, Kira.
Gratitude to you both. I'm so proud. Can I just say this? I'm so proud. I'm so inspired. I am a little biased because, I was there at the point of origin for this and the vision, and to be able to see the way that it manifests. I'm so peacock proud. That's a Southern peacock proud, but I'm also very, very inspired at the way that you two are expanding and the way that you're doing it together. Your own individual expansion, but this collective expansion is so dope. And y'all so dope. And Chakras and Shotguns is dope. I'm still hood. I'm a hood healer too.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much, Kira.
Thank you.
Yes, gratitude for you both.
All right. We just want to thank Kira again for her words and the tips that she gave for keeping ourselves well, definitely, especially as it gets colder.
Yes. For me, I know I went so long without being sick because of hunkering down since March 2020 that when our daughter brought home a little bug, child, it almost took me out. That was the worst. So I hate being sick now. It's like I'm trying to avoid it as much as possible. So I know I'm definitely taking these tips to heart, and we're definitely going to load up on some fresh fruit and some food therapy and get some citrus in us and make sure we're getting our vitamin C up. So we'll also be sure to include that recipe to her fire cider in the show notes. I'm definitely going to be making some of that.
Yes.
I might also add some hot toddies on there.
Okay, I'm with it.
We getting that little crisp in the air. I might make gumbo next week.
That hawk is out, as they say down here.
Oh, Lord. But I'm the country one. I mean,
My people's from the country. So anyway, check out those show notes. Check out our website, chakrasandshotguns.com. And feel free to email us any questions at chakrasandshotguns@gmail.com. You can also find us on Instagram at Chakras and Shotguns and our YouTube channel. And finally, if you're loving the show, please subscribe and give us 5 stars.
Namaste.